What's up, you guys? It's Twinlesstwin here, and we are starting a brand new series. So we heard you guys, you want Grixis Reanimator. I'm excited to play this deck, but I've got a special twist today. So as you can see, I've made some changes to the list. Namely, I've added these 6 creatures here. We've got Philagi Archaeologist, you're probably familiar with it, mill 3, put a non-creature, non-land into your hand, and Oracle of Tragedy. This is a card that you might not have seen before, but when it enters or dies, draw a card, then discard a card. Now the benefit of this is we get to play Flare of Denial, and Flare of Denial is a free counterspell, very, very powerful, and it works very well at protecting your payoff after you reanimate it. So the idea here is, say you play Philagi or Oracle on turn 2, get one of these set up, reanimate it, and then you have Flare of Denial up, ready to go to protect you on your opponent's turn. That's the plan here. That's what we're trying to execute. Otherwise, a pretty stock list. We've got Faithless Looting, Archon, and Oculus are our targets to reanimate. Persist is our way to reanimate it. We have some Unearths to back that up. And then Fatal Push and Thoughtseize, your premier 1-mana black removal spells. So anyways, we have a match. Let's get right into it. This hand is going to be a mulligan because we have 2 Archons and no ways to discard them. So, this deck does get out of mulligans pretty well, just because it has the ability to nut draw the opponent with a reanimated Archon, which is effectively a 3-for-1. That is a nice benefit to playing the Reanimator package as opposed to playing a completely fair Frog deck, is that you do have more of those nut draws that actually can just steal games from the opponent, even on a mulligan. So our opponent also mulliganed, and they start with a Scalding Tarn and pass. Alright, so I'm inclined to just go ahead and Thoughtseize them. We can use a Swamp, because then we can get Steam Vents with this fetch land, if we need to. Alright, so Spell Snare is the immediate threat, answering one of our Psychic Frogs. Murktide could be scary in the future, but currently I'm pretty excited about the possibility of just resolving a Psychic Frog and seeing they don't have any answers here. So in that case, I think I just want to take this Spell Snare. Now that could backfire. They have a Surveil Land plus a draw step to find an answer, and if they find an answer, now we're setting them up nicely to go for a Murktide region, and we have no answer. So my play was a little bit aggressive. Taking Murktide could still have been the safe line there, saying, okay, that's fine. You can answer my Psychic Frog, but I've got more where that came from. Okay. I think let's just stick with, well, no, we should grab Steam Vents here. I was going to say let's stick with a basic, but I don't think that's true. And then actually Emperor of Bones is another reason that we are okay leaving the Murktide behind. This can start to eat away at their graveyard. So I'm not upset about that. So we know they have these 2 and 1 unknown card. Because they played that land there, maybe they're just going to sink into Stupor, our own Frog. But okay, they do. So they bounce our Frog. That works well with their Frog here, because now they're going to start drawing cards. I really like Faithless Looting here. It gives us a lot of potential nut draws, and if we just draw any land, any fetch land, we would be in good shape as well. Okay, even Fatal Push is fine. Let's just put back these 2, and then let's Fatal Push this Frog now. Get it out of there. So they can play Murktide here. It would just be a 5/5, which is not super scary. expressive iteration? Is that what we're dealing with here? Alright, and they dash Ragavan. Okay. Took me a second to figure out what this even was. Seems like it's Ragavan. There's a lot of good hits. Fatal Push is not one of them, though. Guess that's fortunate. And then they play another Psychic Frog. Okay. Alright, let's just go ahead and play out. Do we want to play our Psychic Frog, or do we want to play Philology? I think Philology could actually be good here. It sets up a potential block on Unearth is a nice one. So if they want to jump the frog, then it's going to be hard for them to cast Murktide. And if they don't jump the frog, then we get to block. If they want to discard a bunch of cards, that is A-okay. They discard Ragavan. Okay, they do decide to jump the frog. And they discarded another Ragavan too. Ooh, that's a heads-up play. That play might just win them the game here. Now our flare is turned off. They get to play a Murktide. I think it's going to be a 7/7. So we're going to be in a spot where we probably have to block it. That's a good draw, though. So what that lets us do here is, first of all, oh shoot! I just messed up. In my head, we had double black, but we do not. So what do we? And now we're at 7. That might really cost us. Damn. If we had fetched Shock today, we'd play Frog and Unearth Oculus, and I think we're actually in decent shape. We get to bin the Archon, and then if we draw any land, we get to kill them with it. But because I messed up that fetch land, it totally throws a wrench in our plans. Sorry about that, team. Alright, what's our plan now? What is our plan now? If we unearth Oculus, make a blocker, they're gonna have just enough to jump this frog. So we can't chump it, and the Murktide goes. If we play Frog, we can jump it, block their Murktide, and discard the Archon, setting us up to draw a land to dash that, so that might be the best play. We can also unearth Frog, that doesn't actually change anything though. Okay. Alright, let's play the Frog and pass. I'm frustrated with that mistake. This is why it's the Noob to Master series. We're learning the deck. Okay, going to 4 is actually very important here, because that's going to allow us to potentially survive at 1 life if we need to fetch Shock. Okay, Blood Crypt. So we find the we find the land. We get to cheat in this Archon of Cruelty. And the end result is we're gonna be they discard a card. That's fine. I wonder if they're gonna choose to keep around the 4/5 Psychic Frog over the 7/7 Murktide. That'll be the interesting choice they have here. We find a Flare of Denial. So we're putting them down to 4 all of a sudden. Find a Lorien revealed. But they're going down to 1, sorry. And they have a 7/7 Murktide with us at 8. Well, that is quite the awkward position for them to be in, but could end up being equally as awkward for us. Okay, let's go ahead and unearth Abhorrent Oculus. They fawn, but we have Flare of Denial. And then we'll just pass it back. Alright, they go ahead and scoop it up. Maybe they had no outs. Post board, I like our spell bombs, I like our mystical disputes. I'm expecting them to bring some graveyard hate potentially, so we need to think about that. Potentially we shave down on this package at least a little bit. I think looting is still pretty critical. They can't have that much graveyard hate. How do we feel about the Flare of Denial plan here? I think it's good. I mean, hard casting Flare is probably very reasonable as well. I don't love Emperor Bones. And then maybe we shave. Maybe we shave one more Archon. Really focus on not having as many dead cards. Because I expect them to increase their graveyard hate. We kept a bit of a greedy hand, but if we draw a land, we get to play Psychic Frog, discard the Archon and then reanimate it. Let's just get the Spell Bomb out of here, because that's going to completely invalidate our Persist. Well, we do draw a land, but it's not really the land we're looking for. I think Lorien revealed on top is fine for next turn. Now, if they go ahead and slam a Harbinger of the Seas here, we could be in trouble. We can't really cast our spells. But then, again, they won't be able to cast their spells either, so... Unless they found a fetch land that can grab a black, we might end up being okay. Oh no. Okay. And if they Harbinger us here, we do suffer quite a bit from that. We can start to hardcast Flare of Denials. And then eventually cast an Oculus, but they have the Brazen Borrower. It is definitely too bad this isn't Troll or Khazad-dûm. Oracle of Tragedy is kind of a nice one. Not only is it going to allow us to have Flare up, but it also is going to help us start to loot away some of our dead cards. Do they have a counter for this? No! Alright, they countered our Oracle of Tragedy. Sad. You know they have 2 lightning bolts in hand that are just dead, sitting down in the water. I think if I were them, I'd flash in Brazen Borrower now, just to try to put extra pressure on. Cut down my clock. And yeah, that Oracle would have been perfect. Two cards scribed to the top with Preordain. Scary thought. have to flare this. We don't have a choice. I'd love to keep up better protection, you know, just in case they have something like a Murktide or a Psychic Frog, but this Borrower alone is going to be enough to kill us. It puts us onto a 2-turn clock if they attacked us for 5 twice, and that doesn't give us enough time to do anything effective here. Now this way, at least, if we're able to draw like a swamp, or even really just a swamp, actually. I was gonna say, yeah, a swamp is what we need here. This Unearth is not bad. Getting a card into the yard is what we need to do. Now the other thing is this Harbinger can actually just keep attacking us, because if we unlock their mana, they have double lightning bolts, so that's a problem. Because it means we're not going to be able to actually trade off. Okay, that's perfect. If this resolves, it's huge. Because it can bounce off the Harbinger, and it's going to set up our Oculus. And it has Flare Denial potential, so it's a win-win-win. Never been more happy to see a Philology Archaeologist in my life. They're going for 4 mana to cast. Okay, 2 mana counterspell. Maybe they had Subtlety. Oh, now they have Fawn as well. Okay. So that gets us the necessary amount of cards to cast Oculus, but the problem is here, we are going to have to trade with this Harbinger of the Seas next turn, and that's going to be enough to just kill us. They'll bolt us out. Very interesting how they sideboarded, because they have all their Fawns in against us. I think that shows me they're very afraid of the Archon plan. But Fawn's actually not that great against us, because Psychic Frog, you know, and Oculus are 2 of our biggest threats. Fawn will not be effective there. Running into some issues here with, can't cast this looting. I think with the Thoughtseize and the push, we have to keep this. Mulliganing is pretty costly in a grindy mirror like this. Thoughtseize and push should help us hold them off for the time being. They're not going to run us over with a frog or anything. And then the plan has to be... Okay, so they have Ragavan, Psychic Frog, Subtlety, Thoughtseize. I guess we take Psychic Frog. That's by far the scariest card they have. The Ragavan, if we draw a land, can just be answered with Oracle of Tragedy. Though I guess then they could Subtlety it, so maybe we still have to Fatal Push. And if they lead on Thoughtseize, I'm not sure what they would Thoughtseize. Because if they take, they just lead on Nihil Spellbound. Wow. Okay. It's a very conservative line to take there. But we brick. So they can cast this Period here. They just play Scalding Tarn. We know they have Polluted Delta still. It's interesting that they chose not to Thoughtseize or play Zidane. Alright, so unfortunately we've just bricked on lands, and that's going to cost us this game. I mean, that does speak to the mana-based build. Probably it's important to be able to have Faithless Looting online when you are building a light mana deck that's trying to just leverage. But now they're going to have Subtlety up. I don't really see a way to win this game, so we'll just concede. Alright. So that was a first look. I think my first instinct is testing this package. It's good to test things out, but this doesn't feel like the right way to go. The deck already has a glut of 2-drops with Psychic Frog, Emperor of Bones is a good option, and Persist. So all of these cards are just creating a lot of hands that feel like they're very light on things to do early. I don't think Thought Scour is the right answer. We'll continue to search for one. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next video.